In order for your favorite faith-based ministry to operate at its maximum level of effectiveness, it's got to have a healthy board of directors. So, does that describe the board for the ministry you love the most? Those are the questions we'll explore today in the moments ahead. Hi friends, I'm Bill Hobson, and for the past 20 plus years I've had the privilege of serving as a consultant with some wonderful faith-based ministries around the nation. In each case, these important and effective causes are led by dedicated, tireless staff members who are really good at what they do, and in most cases are supported by intelligent, visionary boards of directors with a passion for seeing lives changed. Every once in a while, though, I'm invited in to help remedy an unhealthy board that has sort of lost its way. And today I'd like to share with you some of the danger signs that can reliably predict potential trouble for a ministry. After all, boards of directors are made up of people, and as my late farmer father-in-law reminded us, there's a reason the Bible compares us to sheep, and it's not because sheep are all that smart. Nearly 20 years ago, I can recall standing in front of a whiteboard filled with my horrible handwriting as I led a board of directors through a very difficult crisis in leadership. On that day, one of the findings of my homework resulted in a very difficult moment, as I literally turned to the board president and told him that he was the biggest obstacle to healing the board and allowing that ministry to flourish, and that he needed to resign. Now, thankfully, he didn't throw anything at me, but he instead graciously did step aside and allowed healing and vision to return to that board. Today, that ministry is thriving, changing lives on a daily basis. It's so cool to see that outcome. And more recently, I've watched another board president of a ministry fail to lead, go completely silent, leave vital vision-related decisions in the hands of others, and cause harm to a community that had no idea there was even a hint of turmoil about to come its way. Well, how does this happen? And more importantly, how can board members and supporters be on alert for signs of board dysfunction so they can address it before it metastasizes and causes greater harm to the ministry? Well, here are 5 signs of trouble every board should watch out for. You ready? Here we go. Number 1, silence. When major ministry-defining decisions are being considered, healthy boards communicate big picture vision, invite input from leadership, and inform those affected that the board is actively addressing big issues. Simply plowing ahead in complete silence gives off the aroma of secrecy and distrust, which is exactly the opposite of what you want to convey. Sign number 2, I call it steamrolling. You know, it's not uncommon for boards of directors to be populated by men and women who volunteer their time for the ministry, but bring with them the same because I said so mindset that might be common in their professional lives. You know, being a CEO or someone who sits atop the flow chart at work can bring tremendous value to a ministry board, but it doesn't automatically translate into an effective board member, because the temptation to dominate conversation and dominate decision-making can be really quite strong. If coupled with a somewhat demure and easily intimidated board chairperson, unhealthy boards can find themselves being steamrolled during times of major decision-making. Trouble sign number 3, I call it legacy lock. This is the because it's always been done that way mindset, often found in those who have graciously served for 10 or more years. Now, there are certainly times when a ministry must stay true to its foundational ethos, but there are also times when methodology needs to be updated, traditions tweaked or changed, and innovative new ideas need to be incorporated. A healthy board leaves room for a healthy mix of all of the above, but will refuse to just be stuck in a rut because we've always done it that way. Make sure that the legacy items in the ministry have a foundation that's clearly supported by evidence of effectiveness, and not just because that's how it's always been done for 30 years. You only keep the things that are working. Number 4, the sign of board trouble, is what I would call a closed shop. Is your board inviting or cultivating new members? Is there an eye toward the future leadership of the ministry, or have you forgotten the reality that there is a shelf life for all of us? I used to have hair, and what I do have didn't used to be gray. A healthy board will consist of a cross-section of those with an appreciation for the history of the ministry and those with a vibrant vision for its future. Now, strong, effective leadership will understand the crucial need for the next generation of board members and put into place a form of an apprenticeship program that can help introduce those future leaders. I have the privilege of serving on a board where this concept is being practiced right now, and it is really cool to be able to reach out to someone and say, we sure do appreciate your faithful involvement here. It is such a blessing. How would you feel about dipping your toes into the concept of leadership by coming along with me to a board meeting to get a feel for how the business aspect of the ministry is conducted? Don't become so wrapped up in today that you forget about tomorrow. One more time. Don't become so wrapped up in today that you forget about tomorrow. And the 5th and final sign of a board in trouble is what I would refer to as self-inflicted injuries. It pains me to come across ministry boards that consistently cause harm to the organization simply because of how they respond to questions or criticism. Most of the time, that injury is caused by allowing the wrong person to handle public-facing communication during a time of crisis or transition. If the spokesperson majors in arrogance, condescension, or misinformation, it harms the entire ministry. A healthy board has no silent members. One more time. A healthy board has no silent members. Now, it should still have a primary spokesperson, but, and this is so crucial, the entire board, not just a tiny subcommittee, should be aware of and in agreement with whatever communications are being shared on its behalf. Delegating all of that responsibility to one person is a recipe for harm to the ministry. Checks and balances are wise. Input from multiple perspectives is wise. Friends, this delicate balance of loving a ministry and serving on its board is packed with blessings, but it's also packed with peril because there is a high level of accountability for those serving on a board. Whether it's in your church or for a ministry serving those in need, sending missionaries, hosting conferences, whatever the case may be, board members have the high honor of playing a role in impacting eternity. The people served by the ministry are making decisions that affect their lives in ways that the corporate world would never understand. Getting it right matters because the people you serve matter. A strong, healthy board leads to a strong, healthy ministry. And the inverse of that is also true. Finally, I've had the honor over the years of hosting one-day board retreats for a number of ministries, and I am so thankful for those who donate their time, talent, and treasure investing in a kingdom cause. It is really energizing to come together and listen, learn, challenge, and encourage board members and remind them of the big picture impact they can make. So if your board would benefit from spending a day exploring these concepts, I do hope you'll reach out to me and begin that conversation. A healthy board leads to a healthy ministry, and maybe it's time for a checkup.